around her was in danger. She should have hired security. If she had, maybe James wouldn't be dying in front of her right now. No, he wasn't dying. She couldn't bring herself to think like that. He would be fine. He had to be fine. They got to the hospital and James was immediately rushed to surgery. A kind nurse took Elizabeth into the shower, helped wash the blood off her and loaned her some scrubs to wear, since her own clothes were soaked with James's blood. "Thank you," Elizabeth mumbled. "You're welcome, dear. You just sit here now and the doctor will be out shortly." Elizabeth had barely sat down when Alex hurtled into the hospital, her jaw set and her face white. "Alex!" Elizabeth got up at once. She had met James's sister a couple of times before. She knew that Alex was a former Marine who was struggling with PTSD. The last thing she needed was to have that PTSD added to, but there was nothing to be done about that right now. "Elizabeth, what happened?" "He was trying to protect me." Elizabeth found she couldn't meet Alex's gaze. "He shouldn't have been shot. The gunman was after me, but James jumped in the way." "Of course he did." Alex wasn't crying, but her hands were clenched into fists at her sides and her voice shook. "He'd do anything to save an innocent. I told him he should have been a Marine, but he insisted he could do more in the political arena. He was always so passionate about what we do. He said he wouldn't make it as a politician himself, but he could do his part helping me." Elizabeth took a shaky breath. He's one of the best men I know." The two of them lapsed into silence, both staring so hard at the door to the surgical ward that Elizabeth was a little surprised it didn't start smoking. Then Elizabeth's team joined them in the waiting room. They were all a family. They all cared about James like a brother. The police came and took everyone's statements. They wanted everyone down at the station, but no one was willing to leave the hospital until they knew that James would be okay, so the police just took their statements in the waiting room. Elizabeth wished she could be of more help. The whole thing had happened so fast, she had very little detail to give. Fortunately, there were many witnesses, and the police seemed to have a few suspects already. The police left. Hours passed. Elizabeth's back started to complain, but she couldn't bring herself to get up out of the uncomfortable waiting room chair. She felt frozen in place, unable to move out of her state of stasis until she knew for sure, one way or the other, if James was going to make it. Finally, after 12 hours, the doctor emerged, heading straight for Alex. He had an excellent poker face. Elizabeth was good at reading people, and she couldn't make out anything of James's condition from his doctor's expression. Alex was stoic. She was tall and athletic with short, sandy hair that matched her brother's, and a serious expression etched on her handsome face. "Shall we talk somewhere more private?" "No, it's fine. These people are his family, too. They need to hear whatever you have to say." "Very well. We've managed to stabilize him. He's in the ICU now. The next 24 hours will be critical, but I believe that there's a good chance he will make it through. It'll be a long road ahead with lots of rehab, but I think he can make a full recovery." It was a good thing Elizabeth had remained seated, because she was sure her knees would have collapsed in relief. She forced herself to get up, pulling Alex into a hug. The two of them embraced tightly for a moment before pulling apart. "I'm so sorry, Alex. None of this would have happened if not for me." "It's not your fault. It was the maniac with the gun who pulled the trigger. Come on, let's go see him." Only 2 visitors were allowed at a time in the ICU. Alex and Elizabeth went in. Elizabeth held back a whimper when she saw James. He was hooked up to so many machines he looked like he was more machine than man. He was pale under all the tubes, but his heart rate was steady. They sat on opposite sides of the bed, each holding one of his hands. "Can he hear us?" Alex asked one of the nurses in a small voice. "It's hard to tell, dear. Talk to him anyway. There's a chance he can hear you. And even if he can't make out your words, the voice of a loved one is soothing." Alex nodded. "Hey, James. It's me, Alex. You're in the hospital. You were shot protecting Elizabeth. You were so brave. Elizabeth is fine thanks to you. You're pretty banged up, but the doctors think you'll be all right. I know how strong you are. It'll be hard, but you can fight through this. I know you can." "I'll be right beside you, James. We all will," Elizabeth assured him. "The others are all waiting outside."